Hello there.
What are we talking about?
Reduction Act. Inflation Reduction Act. This is a fun one.
We already talked about this.
No. You're going to get a kick.
I don't know anything about it.
Democratic Senator Kirsten Sinema received nearly $1 million, like a little bit shy of $1 million over the past year from hedge fund managers, speaking of stocks, and venture capitalists, whose taxes would have increased under the original Democratic Plan for the Reduction Act. But, she got it changed. People were saying, oh, A, that's definitely, money running politics. And also B, I just want to know what your thoughts on just, the plan, that those original plans, just, all these plans in general about regulating, the stock market and, all these different tax increases for stock traders. Do you think that any of these are going to eventually go through in the future? And how will that affect stock trading in general?
Well, so this, unfortunately is nothing new, right? The stock market is a series of regulations on top of regulations, and most of them have been because of money. It's just another link in a broken chain, in my opinion. It doesn't surprise me that a senator on either side has gotten a huge payoff from someone with a vested interest in making money. That's just the nature of America. I don't see it not going.
Well, I'm curious, as a stock trader for both you and Nick, do y'all agree with the original? So the original part of that bill that Democrats wanted passed was that they wanted to tax, the venture capitalists, people who invest and makes lots of money. They want to tax them under the same tax rate as they would these billion-dollar companies, because they just raised these, all the taxes on billion-dollar companies. And they want to put stock traders, as part of that. But because of a Democratic senator who was bought out, they got rid of that. Do you think that people who are making billions upon billions of dollars in the market should be treated like these corporations, or as a stock trader, or do you think that should be treated differently because it's not necessarily a job or business? I know everyone says you're trading like a business. I'm curious what you think about that.
Absolutely, I pay my taxes. Obviously. So here's how it works, right? You as a trader, right? You're allowed to treat it as a hobby up until you earn a certain amount of money. At that point, or after so many years, you're responsible for taxes. That's just the way it is. It doesn't matter how much or how little you make. If this is how you're paying your bills, it's no different than any other job, in my opinion. You're a company getting tax write-offs, or if you're an individual contractor getting tax write-offs, or you're a single employer, it doesn't matter, right? We all kind of have this obligation. I don't agree with it, but if you are trading money and making money and using that money to pay your bills, you're part of the financial cycle that runs the country, and that kind of opens you up to taxes. I do think I'm just going to reframe this. My personal opinion is that people who make more money should pay more taxes. So yeah, if you make a shit ton of money in the stock market, from a strictly tax obligation perspective, yes, you should not be treated any differently. You should pay.
Watch out, Nick might call you a socialist. Be careful.
That's socialism.
I wouldn't say socialist.
Okay, Bernie Sanders. Just kidding. Well, I voted for Bernie.
So I'm good. I'm glad you said that, because this is a perfect. This is a perfect thing for me to tell you. Then there. Sorry, Pookie. Did you have more thoughts here?
Yeah, I think the whole tax system in general is fucked. It should either just be a flat percentage, and we should have less consuming government. Things should be smaller and more efficient.
Sorry, Pookie. Did you have more thoughts here?
Yeah, I think the whole tax system in general is fucked. It should either just be a flat percentage, and we should have less consuming government. Things should be smaller and more efficient, which would reduce the overall burden, like other countries have managed to figure out. Or it should just be less loopholey, right? Because
that's my
all these big companies go overseas. That's all they do. We get stuck with the bill. It's dine and dash. That's all it is. Go ahead, Nick.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, I agree with you 100% with what you said. I disagree with the first statement you made about taxing. The more you make, the more you should get taxed, because exactly to your point you just made, the rich people know how to work around the system, and they just leave. And that's what you see in California, New York. That's what they're doing. The more you make, the more money you pay, and those people go, well, I'll just leave and go across the border.
And Texas,
and that drives down Texas, Florida, wherever else the incentive is to go, right? Yeah. But then that drives down middle class. Now becomes the rich, and they have to pay more. They can't afford, so on. But Duck, what you just said is this is an interesting little thing that I pulled up when you said Bernie. So this is the part that amazes me when you look at the Democratic senator making laws that doesn't affect them, that gets them out of the loop. So Joe Biden lives in the largest mansion in his state and just bought another mansion in D.C. Bernie Sanders owns 4 houses. Obama just got his 3rd mansion. All of this money was made while they lecture us about income equality. Okay. Also, let's be clear, those are 3 lifelong politicians. How does Biden, who's been in office for 56 years, make enough money to have this kind of stuff? That's what I want to know. And that's where you see, like the Democratic senator you're speaking of, that's how they're getting this. They're getting paid for big money that we don't know about. And, look, man, forget about where I stand. Obviously, it's clear. So do I care about the billionaire showing us his taxes that lost money as a president? Or do I want to see the taxes of the people who are millionaires after being in office for 20, 30 years?
So here's my answer to that. Everybody who's elected to represent the general public should be transparent with their finances.
Absolutely agree with that.
I don't care who they are. If you're in control of our economy.
How they only pick one side.
I pick both.
No. I'm talking about from a media standpoint, right? Like, let's get into the taxes. What about why does Pelosi have so much money?
I think that.
When are we going to talk about her?
I think that was primarily because he was the first one who dug in and refused to show it. I think that was the issue with that.
Yeah. Honestly, I agree with you, Nick, as far as Biden and as far as those politicians go. The one thing I do have to say, and Bernie, I'm actually not huge on him anymore. I think that we have a lot of the better, more progressive politicians coming up. However, the one thing I do have to say about the House is he did write a best-selling book and then made millions off of that. So he didn't have all that prior to getting famous. And anyone gets famous and writes a book and it sells millions, you're gonna have
to be clear, I hear you on that. But how is it that he can stand here and talk about the socialistic side that he talks about? Well, he has 4 houses and drives around in $180,000 car.
So
I guarantee you he's paying all this taxes. See, I think that people who make more should definitely spend more, be taxed more, but not percentage-wise. I'm just saying money-wise. And what I mean is no getting around these loopholes. Like if you're you're getting taxed X%, you better pay every single percentage of that, no matter how much money you have to get around, all that. That's my problem. Is all these people are like you guys were saying earlier, and that's why I like Bernie and I voted for him. I also like a lot of things that Trump did because I think that he did a really good job of regulating that, or at least trying to make sure that that didn't happen as much. I know everyone either you have to like Bernie, you have to like Trump, but I like both. I think that
Duck, that's the thing is you look at kind of three different views ultimately kind of getting to the same place. And that's where I'm at with a lot of the way I stand. Like I did like a lot of the stuff Trump did. I love the idea of education for all for free. I mean, my daughter's getting ready to go to college. I love not having to pay for it. All I need you to do is explain to me how you're going to pay for it.
Right.
Medicare for all, great concept. Just tell me how you're going to pay for it. Like the concepts are great, but that's the thing is you look at, kind of three different views ultimately kind of getting to the same place. And that's where I'm at with a lot of the way I stand. Like I did like a lot of the stuff Trump did. I love the idea of education for all for free. I mean, my daughter's getting ready to go to college. I love not having to pay for it. All I need you to do is explain to me how you're going to pay for it.
Right.
Medicare for all, great concept. Just tell me how you're going to pay for it. Like the concepts are great, but Elizabeth Warner talks about college for all for free, and she made $400,000 lecturing at colleges last year.
No, there's a lot of there are a lot of politics. Like here's the deal: if you're going to be lecturing, you got to walk the walk. There's a lot of people.
Yes.
So I will say that, and that's the one thing I didn't vote for Trump. Like I said, I voted for Bernie. However, the one thing I did like about Trump is that and I didn't agree with what he said. I thought a lot of things he said was fucking stupid and ignorant and
Bernie or Trump,
whatever you want to call all these bad words, but he was honest. Like this is who I am, and there's no bullshit about it. That's fucked up as
right.
he was saying was. At least he was looking at you in the eye when he did it. So
well, dude, that's Pookie and I have talked about this a lot. I 100%. Everybody has the right to believe what they want, and they should. The only thing I ask is if you believe it, live it. And, you look at all these different Hollywood stars and politicians, and they're telling us how to live, but they're not living by the same guidelines.
No.
You can't be Jason Bourne in Hollywood and be anti-gun and make millions and millions of dollars doing nothing but gun movies.
That's called privilege.
You can't be Leonardo DiCaprio and talk about green energy while flying your private jet to all these locations. Like you can't do that. You got to live what you speak.
So there's an easy way, and we've been given a solution by the Vatican and the Spartan government that will solve all these problems. The Vatican doesn't allow their cardinals, as far as I'm aware, to own personal assets once they're at a certain level, because in order to become pope, you have to be completely detached from personal assets. Of course, there's a lot more politics involved and all that.
I was about to say, well, they might not be the best person or the best entity to
leave them little boys alone. Nick,
it's talking about taxes.
So and North Korea. I'm sorry, Spartan government was kind of the North Korea of the ancient world, so I associate them. But the Vatican, they force them to detach from personal assets, and they pay them a stipend to live on. Housing is taken care of. It's moderate housing. They don't live in mansions. They get an allowance basically, and that's it. They've dedicated their lives. In theory, their commitment was to dedicate their lives to public service and to the church and all that, which I don't give a shit about personally. But I like the model that they use, aside from the whole sexual abuse stuff. Now, if you are running for public office here in America, you should do the same thing. If you're devoting your career to public service, you should not be able to make a profit. And that's the biggest problem we've had in the last 100+ years here in America, is that people are using this as a lucrative career rather than a civic duty. And that's the problem. And
Listen, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Cut me off.
I was just going to say, I fully support the Spartan government because I'm fairly confident they threw people in lions pits that they didn't like, and I'm in.
Well, hi.
So really quick,
hi, Homeland.
Before we get too deep into the rabbit hole, I do want to Samson. We did bring Samson. I want to see what they had to say. How are you doing, Samson?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Matt. So I wanted to touch on a couple things. First of all, what got me really interested in speaking was the Medicare for All.
Yeah,
that triggers so many points on me. So first of all, how many of our elected officials know about insurance to the fullest extent? Where are they getting this information to build these plans? And
Tim, I have a question. Have you ever dealt with prior auths? Prior authorization process of medication?
No.
Okay. That's a perfect example, right? Because sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's a perfect example of, people who don't know things shouldn't be making decisions, right? So in order to kind of go off course with a treatment, even though it may be best for the individual patient, you have to get through so many layers of BS. And it's a doctor or a nurse has to devote a lot of time to getting this thing authorized. And it's a nightmare sometimes because the insurance company will hire just teams of doctors who are just paid out, right? A lot of doctors are good. But most of the doctors that work for insurance companies just want the payment. That's all they care about. They don't want to practice medicine. They don't want to do what's right by patients all the time. So they kind of turn into lawyers, right? And their job is to kind of say no and then support it with essentially what is medical case law, which is just a study.
Yes, I understand that.
Yep. So doctors and nurses have to continually fight through that. They have to fill out forms. They have to have peer-to-peers. They have to do all these things sometimes just to get someone on the right medication given their condition. Like, let's say somebody can't handle something that might destroy your kidneys. They have to go through, essentially try to match this doctor and then override them and then convince them to go against where they're getting paid to make that decision just to help somebody with their heart medication. It's stupid. It's terrible.
Well, not for nothing, but one another example of making decisions that people know nothing about is a room full of men telling women how to regulate their bodies. But let's not go off on that. I did want to bring that up because that is important.
Yeah.
But no, Samson,
Just to be clear, there's actually women on the Supreme Court right now, whereas back in the day, there's not. So just to be clear.
And you can also tell that by the national response, it was not what they wanted.
On that topic, Matt, I have to say I was so far left with that topic. I was like, man, yeah, women, free rights, and yada yada. And then I had one, right? And then I went and I got one, right? And it's the worst thing I could have ever done in life. And I swear to God, it changed every view I have about women's rights and how they make stupid decisions when they're 19 and agree with the dumb, stupid 10-year-old boy to go and get a baby removed whenever I am fully capable of handling that now. It was simply, I didn't want it. And they gave me the option to do that. I did that, and that is so stupid. I swear, I'm fully right-sided now. Seeing that I was so left-sided that I did that, it really puts my opinion. I feel like it carries weight behind it whenever it comes to abortions and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, that just shouldn't exist. If you did the act, you pay the price. And I got the easy card out, and I regret that easy card. So that's my point on that. But I actually talked to a doctor, and my local physician, he was like, Medicare for All is completely bogus. He says, I'm a doctor. Now, what if so that's my point on that. But I actually talked to a doctor, and my local physician, he was like, Medicare for All is completely bogus. He says, I'm a doctor. Now, what if he goes, I believe that the true fix to the insurance, the medical problem here in America would be something along the lines of everyone taking accountability and responsibility for their own health. That means you seek a doctor, you find he's specialized in this, that he's very good at what he does, and you say, listen, I'm going to pay you X amount of money per month to do these routine checkups on me. And I pay this $20, $30 a month. If everyone's doing it, the doctor's getting full reimbursement for the time and effort and schooling that he's put in to do this. And insurance is purely catastrophic insurance. Right now, we're abusing the system, just waiting. We get sick. Oh, I feel like I have an upset stomach. I'm going to off for 2 weeks. It turns out I have an ulcer or something, and it's infected now, and use insurance and stay in the hospital for 2 weeks and yada yada. Whenever my routine checkup would have caught that, and I was paying $20 a month. And that's what he explained to me. He's like, if we can actually catch this stuff before it gets to the point that you use insurance wouldn't have to be so high. Insurance companies wouldn't be doing all this, and therefore that's the savior.
I agree. Sorry to cut you off. That is the solution. We need preventive maintenance on ourselves as individuals. We need access to that, and that's the problem in this country. We can't get access to that because of, socioeconomic disparities.
Yes.
Insurance like hurdles, and that's the problem. Is we're doing primarily reactive healthcare, and that is such a major burden on everything. And I don't agree with everyone paying $20 or $30, blah blah blah. That should be what taxes are used for. And that's why if we had a smaller, more efficient government, we wouldn't have to worry about that. But we aren't to that point because they have all these bailouts and military spending and all this.
But that's the problem right there. Whenever you said that the taxes should be a part of that, I don't feel responsible to go and see the doctor every month whenever I'm not paying that out of my own pocket. I know I'm paying it out of my pocket subconsciously in my taxes, but that's not coming out of my wallet.
Yeah, but if this was
wallet, I show up.
If this was part of your everyday lifestyle, though, you would. That would be the different world that we would.
So we need to change the culture. It's strong. I don't doctors seek help.
I think you're cutting up. Is that you or? Okay.
It broke up to me too. I'll tell you while we're waiting for him to come back. Here's a really good example. We have government health care provided called the VA. How's that been going? DMV run by the government. Do you really want that involved in your life?
The VA has terrible oversight, and that's a whole other can of worms.
Oh yeah, no, look, man, I'm with you. Like, I get that, but my point is that is a government-run operation. The government doesn't run good quality operations. It is what it is. And you look at like overseas. I was reading an article not too long ago about it was over in Europe, which has government-run healthcare, and the choice of a child who was dying from a disease was left in the court's hands, not the parents' hands, not anything, because ultimately it becomes a dollar value versus a life. So who decides that? I'm from Northern Michigan originally. Canada has government-run healthcare. If people have enough money, they come across the border and get stuff done here because they have the choice of how they handle what they want to do.
Right, and that all boils down to the fact that we don't have any way to hold our government accountable to make changes like that. Because there's a difference there. That is not routine medical care if a child has leukemia. That is obviously a contingent circumstance or exigent circumstance, and that should be treated completely different, and it shouldn't be left to insurance companies because that's what we're dealing with now. We just don't have the preventive stuff first. We just have that triage.
Well, a big problem I also think is just the fucking prices of everything. Like that if everything was
it's cascading.
Expensive, like it's a scam. Mark Cuban has his new Cost Plus, where he has the drugs are more affordable, and the prices that he's able to offer because he's going straight to them. It's ridiculous how much they're charging us just to put in a box. Like it's insane.
Dude, you talk about that and you reference Trump and Biden in it. Trump signed a bill that made it where insulin couldn't be ridiculously priced. Biden immediately returned that. So who's actually for the people on that?
Then again, shouldn't have been
the infrastructure bill. Well, with the infrastructure bill, Biden administration did want to cap insulin at $35 a head, but the Republicans I heard were the ones that actually 86 that one.
Had Biden not overturned what Trump had already taken place, it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have even been an issue.
That goes to the whole problem of it's always them. Because I think that he wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for Trump. If anyone else had done it, it's just a whole problem that you have to either be left, you have to be right, you have to be you can't just do things because it's good for the fucking country,
Right, exactly.
One other thing I wanted to bring up though on the current events, it kind of had to do with the with the Medicare prices and just prices in general of medicine was the monkeypox vaccine. Just recently, Biden was talking about his plan is to instead of giving people a full dose, he wants to fractionalize the doses. I think it's around 5, fractionalize it to 5 separate doses, and instead of putting it under the skin, he wants to put it in between the layers of the skin. This way that we can give out more doses of monkeypox. And manufacturers of monkeypox are saying this is a bad idea. Biden administration is saying the only reason they're saying that is because they're money hungry. If you split it up, they make less money. What do you think? Do you think that do you think this is from a stock trading, market perspective? Do you think that this is the company trying to be greedy, or do you think they actually don't think that we should be doing this and fractionalizing this without?
No, I think any company who would put their vaccine out there like that on the line knows better and knows not to take risks like that with human lives, and knows that this president has no idea what he's talking about and that he's trying to develop a plan. As I said before, they're speaking out of tone. They don't know where they don't know, and this company's trying to save face. They're trying to say, hey, no, that's not going to fall back on me because you guys want to save more doses. No. Use it as instructed.
This is exactly the problem is, because in medicine, again, just going back to medicine, there's so a lot of clinical offices get something called D50. It's just it's a medication that you're not supposed to. You can dilute it, but you're not supposed to. So diluting it allows you to have more quantity, but it's less effective, obviously, because that's how it works. But it's only used for specific things. And a lot of insurance companies will tell these clinical offices to dilute it, which is terrible advice. And, because clinical people in offices specifically, they're not supposed to do that shit. They're not even supposed to administer it unless somebody's dying, right? But they're telling them to dilute it, which, messes up the shelf life and all this good stuff. It's a decision coming from someone who is not medically in tune, and it's just to save dollars. And that's the problem. You got things like that. You got the monkeypox vaccine. That, in my opinion, is a really shitty decision and should only be that. I mean, that's what we have organizations for. We shouldn't be relying on an argument between a manufacturer and the government. This is what a panel should be set up to determine, and we already have that. We've got the National Institute of Health, we've got the WHO, we have the FDA. They're the ones who can make that decision without publishing, the nuts and bolts of what makes the vaccine work and giving away the secret sauce. So if that's the company's concern, and they're not willing to go forward, and say this is why we can't do this, the last person who should be saying anything on a medical treatment specifically should be the president or someone in a branch of government, right? They're not medical people. They're just so. I'm inclined to lean with the company because they're the ones who made it. I don't care if that's them being greedy. That's kind of their right if they made it. Patent law means that we'll have a different vaccine, within a shorter amount of time anyway. So I personally don't care. I think for the stock market, I think that's going to force a lot of people to lean with the companies. I also don't think a lot of people are taking monkeypox seriously. So I don't really think it's going to be that big of a surge or.
Cookie, that actually brings up my next point about not only monkeypox, also polio. They're talking about polio being in the sewers and this and that in New York City. With polio, with monkeypox, something that people aren't taking seriously, aren't talking about. Do you see, if anything ends up happening, do you see this being something that the Biden administration has to worry about, like Trump administration had to worry about with COVID, where they quote unquote weren't taking it seriously. They didn't catch it early enough. They didn't take the process early enough, is what Biden was saying about Trump. Do you think that the Biden administration might find themselves in the same exact predicament with polio and monkeypox if something was to happen, or because they're because it's the left side, who are usually the ones that are more on top of things, the Republican side is usually the side that doesn't want thinks that things are scams and this that whatever, which in a lot of cases is true. Do you think this is going to be the same predicament, or because it's the left side it might be a little bit different?
I don't really think that's going to matter too much. I mean, I think a lot of people, just culturally, we're kind of geared towards we're going to take it seriously or we're not on an individual level. I think a lot of that's regional. Like you can see that the views predominantly in Florida are, I'm not going to wear a mask. You can't tell me what to do. Other places of the country, they're like, we have to wear masks. We have to separate, blah, blah. Even now, right? Not where I live, obviously, but there's a lot of people that are still kind of
the same predicament, or because it's the left side, it might be a little bit different.
I don't really think that's going to matter too much. I mean, I think a lot of people, just culturally, we're kind of geared towards we're going to take it seriously or we're not on an individual level. I think a lot of that's regional. Like you can see that the views predominantly in Florida are, I'm not going to wear a mask. You can't tell me what to do. Other places of the country, they're like, we have to wear masks. We have to separate, blah, blah. Even now, right? Not where I live, obviously, but there's a lot of people that are still kind of impacted by COVID. And we saw that after the swine flu, the bird flu, all that H1N1. This kind of stuff tends to linger for a while. And if you get another condition right after that, like we saw with the swine flu, it tends to have a much lower impact. So I don't think we're going to have to worry about polio personally. And I don't think the government is really going to get too active or reactive with it. I think they're just going to kind of follow the course and tell people, continue to wash your hands, continue to, don't touch your pee-pee and then touch other people's faces. I don't think it's going to be, we're not going to do lockdowns. We're not going to do mandatory vaccines, or the National Guard will shoot you in the face or the neck or wherever you choose to get shot. It's not going to be as crazy as it was with COVID. I don't see that being as big of an impact. I think obesity and cardiac health are a much bigger issue that people need to take seriously.
Yes, but the media can't drive fear around those, bud.
Sure they can. They just choose not to.
Not to, because
they're saving it.
They can drive fear around body imagery. That's politically incorrect, and it'd be riots, brother. It'd be riots.
You can be 4% body fat and still have shitty cardiac health. I guarantee it. I've seen it.
Oh God! Don't call me out like that, brother.
I mean, it's true. Like they just need to focus on, if they wanted to make that their priority, they could make a killing with it as far as, engagement revenue, clickbait, whatever they wanted to use it for. But that is
right. But they got to load up on their Peloton shares first.
Yeah.
And you'd have to make sure that then America's ready to say, I don't want to go to McDonald's anymore. I don't want my donuts anymore. I don't want everything that you told me I could eat every day.
I think there's a little bit of wrongness to that. I think McDonald's, donuts, all that stuff, it's a part of a diet, just like paper hands are a part of the market and trading. It's okay to have an entertaining food every once in a while. In fact, I think it's necessary to get your dopamine back up after you've been eating rice and broccoli for the past week 7 times a day.
What do you think the first thing most people do after they go to a checkup is? Where do you think they eat?
I guarantee you it's fast food.
It's fast food because they get told you're out of shape, you're fat, your blood sugar's high, your chemicals are all over the chart, your panel sucks, and that hits them, right? They're forced to recognize that, hey, this sucks, I don't feel good. They go right for the fast food. They say, okay, this is my last one, I'm going to make it count. They get a large Diet Coke to feel good about it, but then they get the fries and the burger and the apple pies and all that deep fried shit. And then they go home and they eat and they think about it and they forget about it the next time they wake up and they're just like, okay, I'll try to eat better next week. Or next time I go shopping, I'll get some bananas or something.
And Pookie, the reason the media won't jump all over it is that reason that we've been designed and pushed into fast food, preservatives. There's too much money behind all of this. What are they going to do? Dry vegetables?
I think
it's a last.
I thought we. Pardon me.
Sorry, I was just saying that.
You're speaking.
Go ahead.
I just thought that it wasn't like that. I thought that fast food got out of control. That's what really happened. We weren't designed to go and eat all that every day. And I just thought that it wasn't like that. I thought that fast food got out of control. That's what really happened. We weren't designed to go and eat all that every day. And it wasn't designed to be maliciously unhealthy for us. It was purely convenient. When McDonald's hit, when Dairy Queen hit, when all these places started coming around and popping up, you could go and get food without going and prepping a full meal. It was a convenience thing. Where it got unhealthy, I think, was purely manufacturing down the road as they thought processing would change.
To be clear, I didn't mean like actually designed for it. I meant, yes, the media designed us for it, to go get McDonald's Happy Meals when you're a kid, and that's sort of culture.
And it is. It's straight up convenience because a lot of people are a lot busier than they were 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years ago. Yeah. And it's easier, even though it costs a little more. Excuse me. It is much easier, much faster just to go, especially now. You can punch it up just on your phone or on your computer. You just say, Grubhub, I want food. And they'll bring it right to your door. All you got to do is waddle your fat ass over to the door and grab it like I do. You can just eat it, whatever you're also doing in the meantime. If you're cleaning your house, if you're watching TV, it doesn't matter. It's there, right? It's there at your fingertips. It's just like drug or any trade, right? They get the same. It's the same mechanism as trading, and that's why we have. That's why we focus on like risk management in the Discord, because it's like you have to focus on that, because if you don't, you will blow up your account right away, because you have, as a human being, as an organism, you have really shitty impulse control by default. That's just how we are. It's what kept our ancestors alive. It's a necessary component for us as a species. And society has just managed to promote that with things like fast food.
My instincts have taught me to buy on green and sell on red.
There you go. And that's true. No, all you got to do is just buy the green after it validates the bottom, and buy the red, or sell the red after it validates the top. But we don't do that.
Yes, sir.
We always we try to do it upside down. But yeah, I mean, I think that the media is just going to hold on to that until they need to have like a major push, and then they'll be like, oh yeah.
So my question is, and we're
bring up, they were talking about gas looking like it can go as low as 370, but that might be the
dude, that blows my mind to listen to them stand up. Gas has dropped 20 cents. Well, dude, it's still up $2.
I literally just yesterday I was driving. I looked to my right and I had a take. There's a closed gas station and it said $2.15.
Yeah. Dude, you talk about yes, man, it's all manipulation. Like, it makes you like they're driving this message that gas is going down. This is a great thing, dude. It's up $2. You're not close to where it was.
Well, it's technically it's down. It's been like they were saying, it was down like 60 consecutive days. But when you roll out, it's still it was like $1.80 since he went into office. So like
it's framing.
Everyone, it's kind of like with the stock market. A little pump happens, or in this case, a little dump happens. Everyone wants to fucking talk about it, but it's like, scroll out a little bit. Let's calm it down.
You always say scroll left.
Yeah, that's right. Look left.
My favorite was 0% inflation for the month of July. I love that.
Yeah.
Right. I like July. I mean, so as far as the market goes, we're going to figure out what direction it's going to go like next month in October, right? That's when the big money comes back from vacation. I think they're going to take advantage of the low gas prices to pump the EVs, which has been happening. And then once the EVs have kind of been taken seriously enough, I think they're going to slap them down, and then the gas prices will come back. That's just my personal opinion. But they need to have that other side of that equation, and it's just not quite there yet. So I think we're still going to see a little bit of pullback.
Pardon me, Pookie, you went really quick right there. So you're saying they're coming back. They're going to institutions are likely to pump market for or whatever they decide to do. Each direction we're prepared for. But you're saying gas is going to go up before EV starts to really solidify in the markets, or gas is going to drop before EV and then go up after or down after?
I think it may.
Hurricane season's coming too, so you got to factor that in.
Yep. Exactly. I think the gas prices will still go up a little bit until EV kind of plateaus, and then I think the gas prices will drop back off. That's my opinion.
So I know we only have like 7 more minutes until Nick has to go. While he is here, we want to bring this up because I want to get your opinion, Nick, on this. So the Mars rover just recently celebrated its 10th birthday, and the big question is still
old enough for you, Nick.
Oh God. The big question still is there life on Mars? I know the Mars rover has been killing it. They have I think it's cooler technology, lithium batteries. They're just doing some huge things in there. And life on Mars, so far, like what they're saying is that they've seen signs that there could have been life. Not there was, but it could have happened. It's definitely possible. But it doesn't prove that it is. Do you think that this is something that there is or isn't, or?
Dude, I think there's definitely potential for something out there. So I'm going to pull a Pookie here. There could be or there might not be.
No,
but you're saying currently or in the past?
But I think probably in the past, because here's where I look at all these different weird things, right? Like aliens, Bigfoot, Loch Ness, any of these things you want to talk about. But we live in this massive age of technology where if something happens, there's 500 videos from cell phones posted in 5 minutes. Yeah. So you look at that specifically, the rover, right? It's been there for 10 years. So where is it then? It's not there anymore. Maybe it was, but it's not there anymore. And that's, I guess, how I look at, all that stuff. Like if Bigfoot existed, we'd have real video, not hidden all around the corner videos of maybe something. It could be him. So I don't think there's anything like that out there anymore. At least not anymore.
That's because the rover has, like you said, the rover's been there, it's seen that, unless they're hiding out or whatever.
Right.
But I guess another big question. This was more for Pookie, or I guess for both of y'all. This is more market related. If let's just say, down the line, whatever, Mars, they're like, all right, so Mars, we can go there or anywhere. There's another planet. Does this just mean because I always say the stock market's never going to go away. If another planet gets involved, that's just going to change everything, right? like all those bonds and all that. Is that just all going to just gold, whatever, go fucking kaput, or what would happen if that actually? This is all in theory. None of us actually know. But what's your theory? What would happen to the market if everyone starts going to Mars as well, or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, I believe right now we're waiting for a time machine. If you watch the movie Everywhere, Anywhere, All at Once, or Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, that it's called, it talks about how there's multiple universes and that kind of thing, and it's all happening all at once. And I believe that that's actually could be factually true when we develop a time machine. So there's a Joe Rogan podcast where he talks about how if we develop a time machine from that point forward,
the same systems tend to repeat, right? So we can look at that as being not different than exploring a new continent here on Earth with a new technology like the ship or satellites or every single time this has happened, we've made new discoveries. We've seen the exact same things. We have volatility, right? Supplies decrease, supplies increase, supplies decrease, supplies increase. It's all supply and demand. That's all it would be. It doesn't really matter what parameters there are. It doesn't matter if we find something on the moon or 10 million light years away that we can't access. It's going to change speculation, and it's going to change the value of our supply. When Columbus discovered the new continent accidentally because he's a dumbass and everybody hates him now, there was a lot of resources that changed the economies both here and in Europe significantly, as well as other countries which relied on them for trade. And I'm sorry, continents, not countries. That changed the world, right? It wasn't just, we found an island, right? It was, we found a brand new continent. We unlocked the other half of the world, right? That opened up, lumber, minerals, all the good stuff that they didn't really have in abundance that we could just cut down, slap on a ship, and then ship home, right? Before, so back in time, we didn't have that communication that was instant. So, in Europe, they didn't know that we discovered America till we got back and said, hey, we found this fucking pile of dirt and it's got people and they're angry. Like,
Why are they so angry at us? What did we do?
Here's one that we took.
Yeah, right? I still don't understand why they're so angry.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's not going to be much different if we discover a new solar system or a new planet that has life, a new organism. There's going to be a social / cultural dynamic because it'll be a new species. Whether or not we can engage with that species is completely different. It's up in the air, right? We don't know. It could be little bacteria, could be a huge bear-looking thing that wants to eat our eyeballs. Like, we don't know, right?
I doubt we learned from our Columbus mistake, though.
Oh, we didn't. We absolutely didn't. We're going to go in there, we're going to poke that bear, and we're going to get fucked up.
Or they're coming to poke us.
Yeah, exactly.
Patrick. What's going on, Patrick?
Yeah.
I only joined when we were talking about Mars. I only joined because I wanted to say that I wanted to go to Uranus with Pookie, but we started talking about serious stuff, so I stopped.
You're like, oh, maybe this isn't the time place.
That's the gassy giant with the rings around it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we definitely should talk about this next time, because the whole space-time thing and foreign applies and life forms is a pretty interesting topic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For those who don't know,
thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
That was a great talk. I really.
Thanks for coming on. And anyone listening, y'all can always feel free to request to speak. I know this is, it's no one has to be. There's no such thing as an expert on this kind of stuff. Like, when it comes to stock trading, I know some people feel nervous, talking about it, but with this stuff, everyone's free, free to looking at it. You can check the pinned messages on this Twitter space. It's not even just us talking about it anymore now with Cooler. If you scroll 2 down, you can click it. You'll see the picture. It looks so Cooler actually partnered. It looks like, or has some big type of deal going on with a Fortune 20 e-commerce company. If you look at that picture, that's a drone carrying a package. So I don't know personally what that means, but like
drone.
I mean, drone packages like Fortune 20 e-commerce company. Yeah, I don't know about you. What does that lead you to believe, Pookie? If you were to think, delivery drone service e-commerce company, Fortune 20.
It couldn't be Amazon.
It leads me to believe that it's after 10:30 and I have to go to this meeting. I am super interested in this though. You and I will chat off stream for sure, but this is huge in my opinion.
I don't know. When I literally woke up to that guy Charlie's tweet. If Cooler was a failing meal kit company or movie theater, feel like they would go up on news of working with who I'm assuming to be Amazon. It's crazy when you think like AMC or GameStop, like those meal kit companies, rocketed off of the short squeeze. I'm just waiting to see what happens.
You believe Cooler's ready for a squeeze because they got hit hard this past 6 months, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been going up steadily the past couple of months, but the past year, they definitely got hit hard. So I think everyone
bought in whenever the initial post of Cooler was brought up about a year or two ago or something along that, and made really good money, then got out, and now I checked in and was like, holy shit, if I would have stayed, I'd be down quite a bit.
Oh yeah, no, these are definitely, in this market, I wouldn't hold on to anything long term, but
I sold mine 2 days ago. Everything. not Cooler. I just sold everything 2 days ago. I got 3 positions left in my small accounts.
I am so cash heavy. It's not.
So I gotta go. So I will.
See you, buddy. That was good talks.
Adios. Thank you, Sanson, for coming on. And those listening, like I said, you can always feel free to hop onto these chats. We will be talking about, not on this space is more so this is PB oriented. It's more so on stuff that has to do with the market. We are going to be running some podcast stuff strictly on the MetaMatt TV, not affiliated YouTube, but we'll drop the links in for you guys. We more stuff, less market related, more I guess not safe for work, definitely more political. We'll get deep into the politics. We'll be getting into some the conspiracy theory stuff. We'll be talking about the whole Anne Heche controversy. We talk about some of the stuff going on with the recent that book by Jeanette McCurdy, all this stuff talking about Dan Schneider and all these child stars recently talking about how they were either just abused in general. So we'll be talking about all that kind of stuff on the MetaMatt TV podcast, and I'll be dropping links for that for you all in a little bit. But thank y'all for tuning in. I know that with PB we talk about stocks a lot. This is kind of our time to just let y'all unwind and just hear about what's going on around the news, because I know that when you're going out drinking with your buddies, you can't always talk about stocks the whole time. So it's nice to have some talking points that isn't NFT or stock related. So appreciate everyone for tuning in. Sanson, thank you for coming.